get more machines, get more stuff, hire more people, and kind of properly expand our business, as well as get into possible government contracting. We have gotten the paperwork to get certified as a 100% service disabled veteran-owned business. I do know that Indiana is supposed to be trying to push a lot of federal dollars back into this area. So we're hoping to possibly here in the future we get set up there to tap into some of those federal programs to hopefully help the process of bringing federal dollars back into Indiana, hopefully, and be part of the whole government contracting thing and continue to expand the business. We do a lot of our own stuff, our own accessories and parts is probably the biggest thing we do. We do some complete firearm stuff, as well as we do a lot of manufacturing for OEM, original equipment manufacturing. So we'll do stuff for, say, like Colt. We provide all their handguards and all their firearms for all their law enforcement stuff, some of the military contract stuff. We have actually done some overseas complete weapons stuff for like the country of Taiwan. We did some for their tier 1 police. So we're looking at expanding into that, doing more of that, but we need space to kind of expand our capabilities, if you will, machining in-house and whatnot. So that's what we're hoping that that building that used to be a machine shop has a lot going for us. So we're hoping to be able to work with the town of Bargersville and move up here and expand and be happy. So I don't know if you guys have any questions for me or if there's anything else specific you want to know.
So, well, first of all, thank you for your service.
Oh, no. I get to be a big kid, so it's fun.
And how many people will you employ?
We've got, how many right now? 6? Yeah, she knows better than I. So 6, because we got some part-timers that go in and out, and depends, sometimes they pick up extra hours and stuff. So as far as full-time, 6, and we're probably looking at expanding that pretty quick when we get up here, because part of our problem is there's certain choke points that we have that just even getting stuff out the door for shipping as stuff stocks up. And, you know, our third shift guy is kind of on and off temporary, works for another shop, but they're slow right now. So they give them to us. And so we'd probably like to solidify that more and probably pick up another 6 probably pretty quickly. So for starters, and then keep going from there.
Are you purchasing the building?
We would be purchasing the building and then new equipment to go in it. And I get the feeling the way things are going right now, it would probably be doubling down on equipment probably fairly quickly.
Is this the Dressler building? Is that
The Dressler machine, yep.
Okay. Great. Thank you. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
So, so the request is for a vacant building deduction, which is a essentially is a real property abatement on an existing facility that has been vacant for at least 1 year, which this building has been. That investment would be about $765,000. Including the work that they're going to be putting into it. They are also requesting a 10-year real vacant building deduction and a 5-year personal property abatement on now $656,000 worth of equipment. That's up from their original estimate because they have additional equipment already on order. So they will be, again, they'll be bringing 6 employees with them, with the potential of an additional 6 over at least the next 5 years, but it sounds like much quicker than that. So they did receive a favorable recommendation from RDC a couple weeks ago. And are you planning on going through the process piece, or did you want me to dive into that? So we first need to establish a economic revitalization area, an ERA. So that's part of this declaratory resolution. So that if this is something that you want to do, you'll vote on that this meeting. The next meeting, you'll come back and you'll vote on the confirmatory resolution that confirms the ERA. And have a public hearing, and then you can vote on whether or not to accept the tax abatement. So that's kind of what that process would look like.
So, yeah, so we're just approving that area. And then they come back, all this will be summarized in one business, right?
So it's okay to motion to, is it okay? Okay. To designate economic revitalization area for the property located at 390 East Old Plank Road.
I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor, raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Public hearing, if you want to set that so we can notice.
Can we waive that, and do that today?
Next.
So next meeting.
So next meeting.
So next meeting.
Next meeting.
So it'll be July 13th. Is that
13th.
13.
July. All right.
Moving right along.
Next is Resolution 2021-07. This is a resolution establishing an economic development fund. This is somewhat related to the previous resolution. So this is allowing for the collection of fees from an economic revitalization area. And this is written so that those fees would go to the RDC.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to establish an economic development fund, allowing for the collection of fees from established economic revitalization areas.
Have a motion? I'll second. Have a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Say aye. None opposed. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you.
Okay, we have the minutes from the regular meeting held on June 8th. Everybody, what is? Oh, I'm sorry. Joe, you're back. Somebody got chariots of fire quickly. He said he was
Did forget my walk-up music.
Yeah, let's do it.
So today we have the second reading for ordinance 2021-08. This is an ordinance to amend areas of the zoning map from C3 general commercial to C4 mixed-use commercial or mixed-use arterial. This is approximately 47 acres at the northwest corner of 2 Cent Road and State Road 135. Was at Plan Commission on May 17th. I received a favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission. There were no remonstrators present at the public hearing. Again, this was introduced last meeting, I believe it was June 8th. Petitioners here prepared with the presentation, if you entertain. Otherwise, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Second reading.
First reading, I'm sorry.
First reading.
Introduced at last meeting.
Is there any questions? We'll just do the first reading
Yeah, the petitioner is here with the presentation.
Okay.
Oh, you, Greg.
Thank you very much, Joe. My name is Greg Ilko. I'm with Crossroad Engineers, office at 3417 Sherman Drive, Beech Grove, Indiana, 46107, representing Commerce Park South, who is the developer, is the owner of the property. And Greg Koslow, who's a member of that LLC, is here today. The developing firm, Commerce Grove, is looking to redevelopment the property, and Jim Parsetich, along with Greg Koslow, are here on behalf for both developer and owner. Let's see here. So just a quick run through of the project. We're situated just south of downtown town hall here in Old Town Bargersville. More specifically, we're the northwest corner of 2 Cent Road and 135. So the big yellow star is the property. It's plus or minus 47 acres. They're again just south of the intersection there of 135 and 144. The current zoning about the property, we are zone C3. We've got C3 to the northwest of us, R3 to the northeast of us, R3 to the northwest and west, and then R2 to the east, and then due south of us is light industrial zoning. Before the Plan Commission right now, actually, it got continued this month. It's on the July 19th docket, but the Arbor Homes, the R3 parcel to the west, is actually coming through right now for a rezone to be R4. Just FYI, you may see that here soon. Plan Commission, again, we'll hear that on July 19th. Existing uses about the property, kind of a mix mash. We've got duplex due north with Summer Gardens, and then we've got some commercial, obviously, at the intersection of 135 and 144, including a couple gas stations, car wash, self-storage, and restaurant. To the south of us is more self-storage in the industrial park and some miscellaneous light industrial there to the southwest. The Bargersville Highway Garage is adjacent to us at our southwest corner. And then you've got the future residential development in that cultivated field. And then just west of that on Baldwin Street is Oak Rail subdivision. Take a trip down memory lane here. Greg and I have been working on this property for the better part of 10 years. So back in 2010, this was originally zoned R1. And Greg had a vision with his partners to come in with Bargersville to develop a multi-use development with multifamily residential to the north and commercial use, kind of a mixed-use development. At that time, the zoning ordinance, specifically the C3 district, allowed both multifamily uses and commercial uses. So it was rezoned from an R1 to a C3 district. With that rezoning, we had a couple commitments that we had incorporated following conversations with the Summer Garden subdivision, specifically that a minimum depth of 200 foot south of our north property line, basically abutting Summer Gardens, would be multifamily. More specifically, the multifamily structures would not exceed 8 units per building. And then there was the no adult businesses would be considered allowable on the real estate at all. And this is back in 2010. Fast forward a few years, 2014, there was an opportunity and some interest in a potential sports park. So again, Greg Costello involved with that, and myself looked to have not rezone. The C3 district was still an acceptable zoning district for this anticipated use, but we did need to come before the Plan Commission and the council to modify some commitments, which we were successful in. And these commitments that were modified were really specific to the sports complex use, time of game starting, lighting requirements, noise, fencing about the area to maintain all activities within the property. We maintained the no adult businesses, and then in addition, we had committed with Summer Gardens to coordinate with them for some tree preservation about the northern property line. And that actually occurred back in 2014, met with them. They tied some ribbons around some trees. We did individual tree survey at the time, still have that tree survey. But unfortunately, that project did not take wings. And now where we're here today, kind of full circle, is bringing back to the multi-use development where we're incorporating multifamily with commercial. Unfortunately, the zoning ordinance of the town of Bargersville has been updated. Zoning districts have changed. And the C3 district that we're in no longer allows multifamily use. So the application and the petition before you today is to rezone from a C3 to a C4. And in the C4, multifamily use, attached single family, those residential components are allowed. So really what C4 is basically the old C3, if I could be back, just cut to the chase. That's where we're at. We do have the basic site plan here where, similar to the original layout, we've got paired patio homes to the north adjacent to Summer Gardens, commercial along 135, multifamily down along 2 Cent Road. The commitments, again, that we need to modify to clear up, obviously not a sports park use anymore, similar to what was originally intended during our conversations with Summer Gardens, and Mr. Costello has had recent conversations with Summer Gardens about this as well. But we're committing to, from off of 135, any distance greater than 350 and graphically represented on an exhibit, which I'll show you here in a second. But those uses would be restricted to solely the residential components of the allowable uses per the table in the zoning ordinance, and those 6 items are listed there: the retirement community, the attached single-family, multifamily, single-family, 2-family, and then the nursing retirement. Even more restrictive, and this is in conjunction with discussions with Summer Gardens, is that the property, again, 200 foot or within 200 foot of the north property line, we would eliminate a handful of the residential districts or uses and only allow attached single-family, or 2-family. The anticipation per the site plan, as you saw, is 2-family at this time, but from a commitment standpoint, we wanted to have some flexibility. If single-family or single-family detached were to be integrated, we still had that. Summer Gardens was acceptable to that. A couple other commitments that we included, we preserved the tree preservation commitment. And again, we'll coordinate with Summer Gardens again, just in case some of the trees in the last 7 years have gotten more mature than what they were back then. We'll make sure that any of those trees on the north line are saved. And then during the Plan Commission discussions, it was the pedestrian access about the north side of 2 Cent was discussed. The ordinance requires sidewalk. The Plan Commission requested a asphalt trail in conjunction with the standards that Bargersville has, and the developer, Mr. Costello, was fine with that. So we added that as a commitment. So across the northern part of 2 Cent Road, about our property frontage, there will be it's a 10-foot wide path is what's going to be constructed in conjunction or per the detail in the standards. One of the staff comments during the Plan Commission phase was to include a graphical exhibit in conjunction with commitments 1 and 2, basically showing, okay, what areas are going to be all the residential and what areas are going to be the limited residential. So that's what this exhibit shows, and it's included within the proposed commitments, should be in your packet. And so that covered staff's concerns. In addition to the residential commitments that we've provided, I wanted to point out the use table and the allowable uses as we transition from a C3 to a C4. It's actually more restrictive. So the stars on the right-hand side of the table, those represent deviations from the C3 to C4. In most of the cases, uses that were allowed by either permitted uses or allowed by special exception, the stars indicate ones that are no longer permitted or have become special exceptions. So basically putting an extra level of check on these uses to come in to be developed in this property. And so the way the zoning ordinance is broken down, the use table is by category. So this first category you see is the food, drink, entertainment, hospitality, and there's actually 7 uses that are no longer permitted or are only permitted by special exception. As I go through the table, the institutional, office, financial, and business, there's 5 that have been further restricted. And then on the personal service, which is to the top part of this page, there's a couple there that are no longer allowed or only allowed by special exception. Conversely, the residential here on the bottom of your screen, obviously going from the C3 to the C4, all the residential uses are now permitted. So that's the one deviation that we're looking to take advantage of. Again, going back to what we originally anticipated back in 2010 with the C3 district that Bargersville had. And then here we've got retail uses. There's 8 uses that are more restricted, either not allowed at all or only by special exception. And then I think a big one that was a selling point for Plan Commission is the vehicle sales and services. Those are no longer permitted. Right now they are in the C3. Someone, Greg, could come in and do a boat sales and repair in there or auto parts store, but now it's only by special exception. So again, there's that extra level of check that the Plan Commission, the town has, if we were to successfully rezone this property to C4. obviously the Plan Commission looks at the criteria decision as far as meeting the comprehensive plan, the current conditions of the property, most desirable use, conservation of property values, and responsible development and growth. Both staff and Plan Commission felt we met those 5 criteria, so I won't bore you with those details. And I would just greatly appreciate moving this on to the second reading and hopefully approval of the ordinance 2021-08 for the rezone to C4. Be happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any proposed elevation for these buildings and structures at all, or any character type images of what things would look like?
On hand, no, and I know that Greg and Jim are both working on some architectural concepts at this point. We may be able to bring something to the second reading. So
That would
if,
be helpful.
okay, certainly.
And then also, can you check with what type of lighting Summer Gardens has, and maybe if it's down lighting? I worry about the acorn being too bright, maybe in the,
Okay.
I prefer something more subtle.
And definitely we would meet the ordinance in terms of the foot candle, no light pollution.
Is there any walking path along 135 proposed, or sidewalk area?
We would have the sidewalk, correct?
It'd be helpful to have a little bit more detail on the conceptual plan and some elevations to look at.
Okay.
I know that's not a requirement of the zoning, the rezone, where we're at, but I think that would help us, help me. How about that?
Any ideas on your retail portion of it?
I don't know, Greg, I don't know if you want to speak to, do you have anybody lined up, any LOIs or anything on retail and commercial? I will turn the table over to Mr. Costello.
Thank you, Greg Costello. So good to see you all again. On the retail, we would be responsible for, we envision a strip type building and then go out to retail clients. So, it could be a dry cleaner, it could be, any number of mixed use development type of applications there, whatever best fits the community. So it'd be a space that we would lease multiple vendors.
Have you targeted a square footage that you're thinking there in terms of the retail space? Is that in the-
I know we did a layout so that we kind of fit within all the ordinances. We hadn't gotten to that whether it's 150 feet or 200 long or 30 feet deep. So, but we can certainly come back with some renditions if you'd like to see that.
Yeah, just a
Right.
rough of like, is it 10,000 feet or 20,000?
Sure. Okay.
It's quite a big stretch there, right?
It can be. Yes. So no, with the addition of the parking and the necessary parking and that would need to be, and I know those spaces fill pretty rapidly. So. And in regards to lighting, any of the commercial type use, would be a shoebox type fixture, with downlights and no
Yeah,
light
that's
pollution,
what I was-
right? And then the residential, we could certainly look at recommendations on that. I know we've used that acorn type fixture and others, and we did intentionally. We put a buffer of patio homes between Summer Gardens and just to make sure that they were backing up instead of a street right behind them.
Put off quite a bit of light. So
Sure.
I understand safety, but also it can also be distracting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just kind of look at
Yeah. Do you have a builder or a partner already identified for the single family or single family attached?
Well, on single family, Jim Parsetich and I are our business partners there. We just finished a subdivision called Carrington proper out west. And so at the completion of that project, we said, what's our next venture? And having this piece of property, we think patio homes is that next right opportunity here in the area and needed. So so Jim and I will be building those all the way through from not just the ground development, but all the way through construction. So,
Any other questions? Appreciate it.
Thank you very
all
much.
right, thank you all.
Okay, moving along. Now the minutes of the regular meeting. Everybody have a chance to look at them. Do I have a motion?
Yeah, the only thing that I noticed was the dates wrong on when our next meeting is supposed to be. It says the 22nd. And obviously, this is the 29th.
Good. That's why we got you.
And I was. Should it, and then also, should it say that, toward the end on yours, that basically you want it that it was against, it just says 4-1. It doesn't say how council voted
On the zoning.
on the MI.
No, I
Okay, so just that correction? Did you get it? Anything else? Then do I have a motion? Christine was, want to do that motion, the correction of the date?
make a motion to approve the minutes from the June 8th meeting with the date for the next meeting to be changed to June 29th.
Okay, I have a first, second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Say aye, and opposed. Okay, on utility budgets and treasury reports, council review. Review. And is there any questions?
I have a question on utility.
Okay,
Um,
Kevin,
on the electric operating. There's approximately like $125,000 in that change in assets. Do you know what that's-
We're looking into that. I may have the answer before the end of the meeting today. So I've emailed that to accounting to find out if it's a capital purchase or something that just hasn't been budgeted yet, because we're going to do that at the end of July. But yeah, we're looking into that.
Kevin, will you just introduce yourself for the public?
Yes. Kevin Killinger, Utilities Manager.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Any other questions? Okay, if not, we'll move on. Yeah, we need to, everybody look at the claims. Any questions? Okay, do I have a motion?
Approve the claims. Second.
I have a motion to approve the claims. Do I have a second? All in favor, raise your right hand. Say aye. Aye, and opposed. Okay. Julie? Good to see you again.
Get my steps in.
Okay.
So next, we have Trent Newport with us today to discuss the update on our Saddle Club Road and 144 Trail project. I will let Trent hopefully share some good news with us. As I shared with the council, we received a notice yesterday from the Indiana Trails Program that we are the recipient of $250,000 in grant funding for this project. So want to officially thank Trent for his help on that grant application, and so
Good job. All right, good work.
Some great teamwork. Trent Newport with Crossroad Engineers, 3417 South Sherman Beach Grove. I'll add to what Julie said that, so there were 16 applicants. This is a new program. They took some money from an older program. You guys have heard about the Next Level Trails, which is a big program, $5 million max. This is a smaller trail program meant for smaller communities and connections. You can do roadside trails. They don't have some of the restrictions that the Next Level does on the trail type. So you can do something along a road, which is what we had. The dollar amounts are less, but their pot is a lot less. So they had 16 applicants, and you were one of 3 selected, and you got the maximum award amount. So this is a program of an 80-20 match, $250,000 in maximum award. So your total project has to equal $312,500. You actually have a project that is estimated to be more than that, But this is obviously a great win. So in talking to Mr. Brunson, you'll get through some of the documents that he sent and kind of getting a contract with them. And then, he did ask also, he's like, well, where are you at? Have you started the design yet? Or where are you at? And I said, yes. And he said, well, that's fine. You haven't gone to bid yet. I told him that, per our application, we're anticipating 2022 construction. And he said, that's fine. I told him we do have some easements to obtain. And so he said, no problem with any of that. So he's very well aware of the schedule. We have a couple exhibits just to show, I think. I can?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Did I go forward too far? Okay, so this is something got twisted on there. I'm not sure what happened. So I don't know. The red line is twisted compared to what the PDF is. Yeah, it's a very challenging. So that's not going through somebody's house. The little jog is where we connect to the path that's there on Plank at the southwest corner of North, and then comes across. Our intention is to come across and then cross right there, so that we're outside of the parking lot for that business, and also that will be a flasher. So like the one you have, similar to the one you have on Whiteland Road. There at the school zone. Yeah. So then we stay on that side and we connect to the path that you have up on Morningside. Well, we're consistent, I guess. So these are close to the road. We're gonna connect. We're working with Shrewsbury to connect at the northwest corner of the park, which is the wood area down there. This is going along Saddle Club. It does stay next to the road, and obviously there at the very north end of that south segment, we are going to connect to that other path. We're not going to leave that little jog there on both sides. And so we pick up the path that was built. I guess that's the other side of Morningside, right? So that we're picking up there, and then we continue up. Again, this will be closer to the road than what it's presented here. So along the east side of Saddle Club, the school's very aware of this and they're supportive of it. They already donated right away when they made the improvements to Saddle Club. So we may be able to just fit in the right of way, but I also think that if we needed to get another stretch from them or a strip, that they would be very supportive of it. We would cross up at Whiteland Road. That's a stop condition, so we probably won't have flashers. We'll just have it signed, and it'll connect to the path that's on the north side. So as far as schedule, our survey is completed. We are in the design process now. Those design plans will be presented to Julie and whoever else is involved on the city side for approval. That'll set some of our easement lines that we need to go get. I did mention to Mr. Brunson about the nature of the easements. When we did our proposal, it was discussed, and it's really up to you on how you want to buy those. So you could be buying them as sidewalk easements, or you could buy it as right of way. At first, he questioned that as if it was a stipulation, and then when I walked through it, he said, "Oh, well, no, it's." What he was wanting to make sure is that it's a perpetual easement if it's not right of way. So, and which it would be. So it would not be an easement that would expire at any time. So I think we'll have that decision for you guys probably here in the coming months as we decide how we're going to approach those landowners and whether or not it's going to be easement or right of way. But that would be probably the next big step. Also, you have, I think it's later on the agenda with Kevin about the water main. We will want to coordinate. That may change what we want to do with the path and where the water goes if we don't want the new main underneath the path and those kind of items. And so we may have some discussions there to shift even what we've already put on design for the location of that path. But again, I think a large part of that's through the school property, and maybe we have some leeway to use a little extra room if we need to there. We will cross the little ditch that's up there, which is a legal drain. We'll coordinate with the county for that, and all that's items that are under our contract. So we're already engaged and good to go, and we would anticipate just to kind of help get better bids. We would hope to bid late this year before kind of contractors fill up their work plates for next year, but then with it being a trail project and everything's sensitive to temperature and, the ground not being saturated, this is not a project that will probably start before April and maybe not even early April, depending on the weather we get. But that's how we plan to set it up. Be happy to answer any questions.
What's your timeline from starting construction to having a complete path, roughly?
Yeah, I'm going to shoot from the hip because I haven't really put that much thought to it. Normally we get all our quantities together and kind of evaluate it that way. But it's a mile trail, something like that, or more than a mile trail. So I would say probably 60 days. I mean, it's really a pretty clean project. There's not a lot. There's a little bit of drainage work, but I would say something in the time frame of 60 days.
So if we start in the spring, you're committing to having it done by July 4th weekend?
Committing what? Yeah. I do think that's possible. Yeah, I think that's very possible. Yeah.
Do you think we can get you to pretty that up and get the lines right? And,
Yeah.
And then get us a schedule?
Okay.
That we can promote this and let our residents know that this is real and coming.
Yeah, we've got some other notes from our design now that, a pipe structure here or there. The only thing I would caution is that before we decide where those easement lines are and we have to purchase some easements,
Yeah.
we might want to touch base with those people individually first.
Yeah.
But in the
But yeah.
next 30 days.
Yep.
Yeah, let's touch base.
Definitely do that.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Next, I included in your packets an update on the Baldwin Street lighting. You have an estimate from, Kevin and I met with 2 electricians. One returned an estimate to us for that. And then you have the information from ESL Spectrum on the specific decorative lighting options. He included to provide lights for all of Baldwin Street and Main Street within there. There is a separate estimate for Baldwin Street only or both together. I do not have a price from REMC for their portion of the work at this time.
So Julie, what's your recommendation to do the lighting all at one time?
I don't know. Well, one thing is we need to figure out where this comes from the budget. So if this is something that we want to do or look at for this immediately, that is the first question that we need to answer is where does that come from?
How long will it take us to get the numbers out of Johnson County REMC?
Kevin, do you have an estimate on that one? I mean, we've been talking to them for a while.
I would say we should have that information in a couple of weeks, but what I was going to offer is 5 years ago or so, this was estimated, I think, at around 8,000 for REMC's portion. So you have an idea. What
Total,
Right.
8,000.
That's bringing
Not 80,
8, right? So that brings power from the pole to the transformer to the meter base, and then the private electrician will take it from there. So
So it's 8,000 on a pole or 8,000?
8,000 bring power to us,
To us.
and then we will run the power to the poles from there because now they're going to be essentially a private electric system.
Right. So is that something our electric company could do?
It's something that we're considering on the budget. So we've plugged in a number. I've not looked at the details on this on what your light pole cost.
134.
I think we,
It's going down.
yeah. I think we plugged in more than that.
Yeah, we estimated higher than that.
Yeah.
So we need to, if we want to move forward, we need to confirm that the electric utility could fund this, and that we can get a price out of Johnson County REMC, and then it would be pretty easy to include this with the work we're doing now. Would you rather do it now or wait?
You can go ahead. There are some pieces of it that it would be advantageous to do now. Some of the trenching, the lights on the northern piece of Baldwin are to go in the landscaped part behind the parking lot. So to get from the corner of Harriman and Baldwin where they need to trench that, prefer to do that before, or at least get that set up. Like, you guys put conduit in years ago when we had that torn up. So there are pieces of it we'd like to do now. I don't know that all of it would have to be done right now.
No, and I would suggest doing both sides, Main Street and Baldwin, all at once, because you're gonna pour all those bases at once, mobilizing the crews all at once. So if you're considering this project, I would recommend doing both at the same time. Yeah, we can help out on the further quoting of the electric and so forth.
Maybe I would request by next council meeting, we get a number out of Johnson County RMC and figure out the budgeting so that we can give you approval and we can go.
And then I would like to have direction from council in terms of what decorative items we want on those lights. In terms of
Okay. So how deep do you want me to go on this? 'Cause I wrote it down.
so the quote that you have includes flag holders, banner arms, and planter arms on every. It includes every option on every pole. So I will need someone.
Anybody else want to be on the committee?
You don't want me on that committee. I think that's a
How
good
about if I
idea
get
that.
with you?
So
How about if I get with you and we'll kind of discuss and then actually have the representative
yeah, we can schedule a call with him.
schedule a call or have them actually physically come out and take
Yep.
a look at our area?
Yep, he's been
Because
here
we
a
don't
few
want to
times.
overdo, but we
Yep.
want it to look beautiful, so.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that if we're gonna order these, we order what we want.
And
Yep.
this matches what we're doing with the I-69.
Yes.
It does.
Okay.
They received that light spec
Yeah.
Perfect.
And
work
the
from
police
it.
station.
And the police.
and the police station.
Awesome.
Wow, what an
You know, anytime to be on that committee too. And Julie, while you're up here, if you want anything else, if you want to have an add-on on this enterprise.
Yes,
you can get this
yes,
thing
sir.
taken care of.
So we signed James signed the agreements with Enterprise so that we can start ordering vehicles with them. I need some clarification on the future vehicles that we will now be leasing from them in terms of if you want to see those come back to you before those agreements are sent to them. We have already in the budget process requested certain vehicles for certain departments. If that funding is in the budget, do you want that to come back to you? Do you want
No.
to authorize James to sign those agreements?
Should we do this agreement so I can sign it and then we see if legal going forward, so we can get this car ordered?
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
the initial.
Yeah, we need to get this car ordered.
I've got a Tesla waiting to order until we work this out.
So I make a motion to let James sign the document to order this car that is in our budget this year.
Get approved, yes.
Yes.
I have a motion
I'll second.
I have a second. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Aye.
Say aye, then opposed. And this will get your car ordered and we'll work on that with David if you want
I've got it.
to. Okay.
Appreciate it.
Amendment to the ordinance.
Mhm. All right, that's all I have, unless you have questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Elaine. All right. Joe's got nothing. Okay, Todd, what do you got?
I have nothing,
Anything at all?
nothing at all. I know, boy.
He's giving.
Okay, well, I think that's it. End of the meeting. Okay, Kevin,
We
let's
got to
go
get
ahead.
walk-up music for him. too.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I'm excited to be here, but I don't know. I'm not feeling the
Can't say
love
we're
right
excited
now.
to have you.
All right, well, Evan Killinger, utilities manager here. Let's see what is first on my agenda.
Printers.
Copiers.
Copiers.
He's all flustered.
I actually have some updated numbers. Just like everything right now, equipment is hard to get due to supply chain issues, so we're gonna make a change. So what we're looking at is adding 2 copiers, one per location for our water plants. Right now, those locations have a smaller version copier. And actually, maybe a year or so ago, previous management replaced those out to another device that was actually smaller than what they already had and only lasted for maybe a week or so, and they took them out of service. Went back to the old device. Those machines are not capable of running the large copies for their monthly reporting and so forth that they do on the water testing. So we got with our vendor, and we'd like to add, as I said, 2 machines on a 5-year lease for, this includes the copier and the equipment that monitors the printing for $201.80 a month, for a yearly cost of $2,421.60. Traditionally, printing, I was looking at the financials on this item, and almost all printing comes out of Department 900, which is under the town manager. But I noticed on this one, I don't know if it's because they're water plants only, it's not a shared location, there's not a shared cost. They actually are suggesting booking it to water 910 under equipment rental.
Make a motion to enter into a 5-year lease with Van Alden for 2 copiers, printer, scan, faxes for the water plant.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Say aye.
Can you follow up and make sure that's properly in 910?
Yes.
I think.
Does that include the paper cut info? Is that,
Yes. Yep.
we need to mention that. Is that another contract or is that the same contract?
No, that's, so the paper cut is actually booked under software, so it's just, it's not actually in the lease agreement, so it's another expenditure.
We good with it? Okay.
Okay, thanks.
I'll make sure.
Great.
Okay.
So Todd actually might have something, because my next topic is related to the police department. So I'll probably have to have him provide some input on this. So as you know, the police have some body cameras, 5 of them right now, and I think the plans are to add more for all the officers eventually. And what we have, the storage for these body cameras are chewing through our space on our server, because the police department is underneath our main servers here, and the main storage is all through this building. And I know Todd had looked into, the vendor had provided some numbers, and Todd, I don't know if you can provide a little input on that, on what your vendor was kind of considering.
Yeah, it was a 5-year agreement with storage and totaled 104,000 over 5 years. And it included the Axon body cameras, which is what a lot of the departments are going with, but they are very expensive.
So we had asked Chase with Van Alstall, that's here on Tuesdays, that helps with IT, to maybe come up with a solution for us. Because we're in a critical stage right now. We've had to add more storage to their resources twice now. Because as it expands, it starts to slow down the servers and the equipment. So he's researched an idea or solution that's basically another very large hard drive that has a backup unit that they could install and program. And now those the footage will now upload to that location. So you've got some pricing from Van Alstall for equipment or CDW. They're pretty similar. Just to keep it clean, I just prefer that we go with Van Alstall if we choose to make this change or make this investment. And I don't know, Julie, have you had any conversations about funding opportunities?
Funding or budgeting?
Both. Because as it stands right now, PD budget can, there's no room for this expenditure. So
And Todd, you said it was 104,000 for how much storage?
That's unlimited storage
Unlimited.
for 5 years.
Only 5 years. Only for 5, yeah.
Yeah, then it starts over again in 5 years, and the price is going to go up. The thing is that's a 41,000 the first year, and then it's a payment after that. But we're about $700 in it right now, and we have 5. So
And
significantly cheaper.
Kevin, it looks like we're getting 24 to 16 terabyte hard drives here for 13,000. How long do we need to keep the footage of these under state regs or
Well,
whatever?
what we do is, when it becomes a prosecutor case, we send it to the prosecutor.
Right.
So now we don't have to store it. Now it's the prosecutors. They have it.
But how long do we have to keep all the stuff that's happening on our side
Well, technically, we don't have to have any of it.
until somebody brings up?
Right. So it's really
So
kind of a
statute of
department
limitation.
policy on how, it really would be just a department policy on how long you want to keep it. My thoughts were, when I was, when I met with the, what's his name? Chase, the computer guy, my thoughts were a couple years and then just start delete, like a couple years and then delete that year. And then if something hasn't came up within that couple years, I mean,
And so my next question will be then, if for 2 years, will the amount of terabytes that we have here store that?
and it's back up, yes, according to Chase.
Okay.
We took some numbers from the 5 that we're testing and the 5 officers that have been wearing them and turning in evidence. And we took those numbers of what it had increased and then doubled them and then made it bigger for a backup and added 14 officers. So the thoughts were that it would cover it.
So Todd, when do you anticipate modifying or making your department policy on this?
The merit board is working on one currently. So they're going, we made a policy on it, and it hasn't been instituted yet. I did give a copy of a working policy to the guys that are carrying body cameras so they can kind of have a place to be. And when the merit board comes back with, they're going over all the policies, not just this policy. When they come back, it will go to legal. So,
Okay.
and then you guys will have it after that.
So we're talking a month, 2 months?
Oh, I would say end of August, somewhere around there.
So the best solution would be not to go with a larger cert, but to get our own. Is that what this 34,000?
Be a lot cheaper.
Right, sure. And how long? That could last indefinitely until we add more officers and officers.
And the hardware's built where we can add more hard drives to it. So it's got a second chassis underneath it.
Exactly.
Clarify that, it would be easier to just sign a contract with Axon and be done.
Mhm.
But is that being responsible? I don't think so. I mean,
I'll make a motion to approve the Van Alstall purchase of the technology needed for the police department in the amount of $34,520.28.
I'll second.
Have a motion, have a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Say aye. None opposed.
Thank you. Is there direction on how you would like us to pay for this? So right now, it looks like accounting has it coming out of 101, which is tax funded.
Right, I would say, well, this is my opinion, I would say put it under where we have the budget right now, where we have the freedom. And then when budgets come up, we'll talk with Adam and let's get it moved into the police side of things next year, since our budgets are already set.
Okay. Yep, we can look at that.
Because I think we have the room in it right now from what it looks like. Right? Or am I wrong on that? Thought I saw, or is that not on?
Julie, Jenny's.
Yeah, so currently in the budget, we typically do not have individual departments with hardware or software in their budgets. We have put all of that within the IT department.
Okay.
So then when we come to council with a department-specific item that falls under that is where we have these questions because the general rule of thumb is if it is a department-specific benefit and use, it comes out of their budget and not the shared IT. But we don't, unless we plan for it from the beginning of the year and put it in their budget, it doesn't exist. They don't even have that line item in their budgets.
Right, so as of right now, in account 101, whatever this is, that we've got 110,000, we've used $9,600 of it. Do
Yeah.
we anticipate using another 70,000 of it over the next 6 months?
I would say no. We were planning a computer refresh for the billing department, but we might be able to hold that off. But even if we were to not hold it off, I think there's flexibility in there to absorb that cost, the 33,000 or
The way I look at it is keep it where this budget is available for this purchase. Anything needed beyond this will be under a police department specific IT, in my opinion.
Okay. Thank you. We'll get that on order and get it set up. Next item is our main lift station replacement. We've been working on this for quite some time, and we finally have some pricing back from Thieneman, who was the contractor at the wastewater expansion project. And our goal is to use remaining funds out of the SRF account. And on your second page, I believe, you've got a breakdown that we currently have a little over $613,000 left to spend down. And right now, this project, we're looking at spending $429,000 for the main lift station rehab. Just new pumps, new electrical panels, the whole deal.
Sorry.
Kevin, on the SRF, I know we have a somewhat of a timeline on when we have to use, or let them know that we're using the funds. So after we use this, we have what, a little under $200,000. Do we owe them anything after this in terms of next steps, next plans for that remaining money?
Yes, we probably owe them an idea of what our next step is. And we'll probably have that at the end of July when we finalize the utility budgets on how we would like to spend the rest of those dollars.
Okay.
And I think they'd be okay with that as long as we kept them in the loop and up to speed.
Is it the end of the year that is or is it kind of gray?
I think it's kind of gray. I think if we just keep them, keep the open lines of communication, I think they'll work with us, but we can find out if there's a hard date. Seems like there was maybe a couple of years, but as long as we were working on something, they were going to work with us.
And this work will get done this year?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the main lift station replacement for $429,000,
Is it not to exceed? or-
not to exceed $429,000.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Say aye.
Aye.
None opposed?
Thank you. The next two items are, I am excited about this project. So this is our 12-inch water main project that we've been talking about. It goes along with our new water tower that we're designing and pump station improvements. I'd like to thank Ruth Ann and Susie for sitting here a couple weeks ago for 6 hours on doing interviews with 6 firms.